Hello, YouTube Live. Shanga is on. I don't know why I just spoke like Yoda to begin this live. Oh, but here we are. Um, welcome, good listeners. Um, I'm gonna introduce to you what this live is about. Welcome to Saturday morning cartoons for the revolution. Yes, on a Wednesday morning because why not? I'm your host, Shanga, storyteller and showrunner of the Ancestors Writers Room. So I am starting this new live show that I'm calling Saturday Morning Cartoons. Right now we're on YouTube Live. Eventually, my um, goal experiment is to see if I can simultaneously broadcast on YouTube Live and Instagram Live. I decided for the first day, just going to keep it simple and take one thing at a time for this old social media grandpa. Um, yeah, I'm also experimenting with a new kind of streaming platform. So when I was trying it out, it started very clear, the picture, but then it kind of got blurry toward the end. So if that happens, I apologize. We're figuring it out. Um, so if you know me, or you don't know me, I've been hosting a campaign since this summer, August 2024, on the principle heal yourself, heal your lineages, heal the world. And so it is about centering ourselves on who and how we need to be today, to become and evolve into the freedom we desire on the planet, and for our species in our lifetime. So most of this campaign is being hosted on my podcast, which is Otherworldly Giants, the Divination channel. So I hope you check it out. But with this talk show, I just wanted to find a fun way to be on social media more. And this is my version of an ancestral talk show, which I'm actually quite excited about. So here's how I'm thinking it's going to go. Like most talk shows, I'm going to start with an opening monologue, and then I'll invite an ancestor from my ancestors' writers' room to come in for an interview. So live in front of everyone, in front of a live studio audience. So I'm a channeler, I'm a medium, an animal communicator, and most accurately, I call myself a quantum whisperer. And so that basically just means I have the ability to speak to anything or anyone who has an energy or essence in the universe. So that's how the interview part is going to go. I'm going to call in someone, all benevolent ancestors, right? So these are ancestors who have the best interest for humanity in their hearts. These are ancestors who have their ears to the ground in terms of like what's going on with the evolution of humanity, and who and how do we need to be today in order to evolve into those three words that will bring us freedom for the earth and her whole body, not next time, but in our lifetime. So, I'll call someone forth. Sometimes maybe we'll have a particular topic that we want to talk about. And sometimes maybe, it'll just be, we'll see what comes through. Um, my experiment is that I want to show up at 11:11 a.m. on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So I'm going to try out that schedule for September. And if I like it, we're going to keep going until the end of December. So I hope that you come along and share. I used to do astrology YouTube horoscope readings, but then I kind of shut down. Um, I went on like a long hiatus, and I come back, and I don't have the huge kind of community around my work that I used to have, because I stopped for a while and now I'm doing something different. But I'm really excited about what I'm doing right now, and so I'd really appreciate it if you would share and spread the word and help me find the people who are looking for what this is right now. Okay, so my podcast, by the way, is what I call magical reality TV for the revolution, about a queer witch and her two black cats named Esta and Rahel, who are both in the spirit realm. Esta and Rahel transitioned in 2023 and 2022, but they still do have a lot to say from the spirit realm. Luckily for me, I'm an animal communicator. So, the last episode that I published is called We Are Ready for Love in Our Lifetime. That one is a big episode. It's our 2 year anniversary special of our podcast. And there's a lot going on in that episode. I do hope that you tune in and listen to it. But one thing that happens in that episode is that through this storytelling journey I'm on, I come to speak to a species, or we don't really speak in this episode yet, but like I see them. I see this species and they're a little bit ahead in the future. And they live on this planet. And who is this species? They are nothing like us, and yet they come from us. So this species has evolved from us, and they do remember us. And I see this species on this planet little ways into the future. They very much live in alignment with the ongoing healing of the planet. They live in balance with the planet. They're not um, functioning the way that we do right now as a human collective, and they don't have the same kinds of problems that we do right now. And I thought, what a great collective of future ancestors to interview, right? On this morning talk show. Morning spelt with a U, by the way, Mourning. So, morning and morning show. But yeah, what does the species think about the challenges that we're having right now? Like, if we were to interview them, like, what counsel would they give us? How would they help us get through the moment that we're in right now? Who do they think that we need to be in order to grow into them, right? What a great, who better to ask, right? So I thought, why not? Let's interview them. And we will. We'll get there. But in this first episode of Saturday morning cartoons on a Wednesday, I would be remiss if I didn't start somewhere else. I thought what I really want is for my first interviewee to be Rahel. See me having fun with these softwares that I am playing with. So my cat Rahel, she was and is my best friend. She transitioned in January 2022. So she's been in the spirit realm for a minute. And I'll give you one story about Rahel before I invite her on. Um, when she was alive, especially during her elder and transition years, I sang to her a lot. And she loved it. She loved it when I sang to her. She'd just be like, meow. She just like expressed so much joy to hear me sing. And while there's a lot going on for her daily care, especially toward the end there, in terms of like medication, and I was doing all these different holistic medicines and all of that. But Rahel, she says, she's said to me in the spirit realm and while she was alive, that the most important medicine that she received, especially during that time, was just my song. It was my voice. And that's what she remembers the most. And that is what had the most positive impact on her. So I wanted to share that for anyone, currently in, or even who has been in a death portal with someone you love. I want you to remember that the most powerful medicine we can offer our loved ones in the hardest moments, including ourselves, is often the most simple thing. I just want everyone to take a breath with that. It's the most simple thing. And for me and Rahel, it was song. So, with that, let's bring her in. Full disclosure, I did already channel this interview. So, I know that we are going to talk about grief and community. And I have some notes that I'm going to share. But I also, I just want to be live. It's been a minute since I've just like sat here and spoke in a more spontaneous way without like reading a script. Um, so I'm just gonna also leave some space to just receive Rahel and whatever wants to come through. So let's bring out Rahel. Okay, 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 okay. Okay. Just indulge with me. Welcome, Rahel. Okay, so I see. So, by the way, you'll also like this is, yeah, I'm calling it an interview talk show, but you're also going to be witnessing somebody doing a live animal communication reading, right? So, this is, I don't do personal animal communication readings. I am hosting a 6 week class. Sorry, not 6 weeks, 6 class series. And on the last class, we are going to do live animal communication readings for whoever folks who want to come through. Um, and so you're also getting a sense of how that works, right? So I'm doing that with my own cat, Rahel. Um, so she loves all the sound effects, first of all. I see her coming out and she's showing me literally like one of those like talk show, like, like one of those like late night talk show. Um, not Jerry Maguire, not Jerry Maguire. That's not late night with why am I forgetting Jimmy Fallon? I'm forgetting all their names right now, but she's just like walking out on stage and she's like, woo! And yeah, she's telling the crowd, she's like, my mom is the best. And she's like hyping up the crowd. She's like, and they're just like, yeah, Rahel. Oh, and then she comes and she sits down like a celebrity. Okay. Okay, interview. Rahel, I just like, on this talk show, what I'm usually going to do is invite someone in and ask a question about humanity. Like, what's a big question in front of humanity right now that we can speak to? And with Rahel, I'm just like, I just want you to take the mic, take the floor, Rahel. Like, what do you want to say to my community, to the community that has gathered around me, that will gather around me, that will be watching later, etc. So, like, what do you want to say to the community, Rahel? Okay, so yeah, she's telling me every rose has its thorns, and where there's a rainbow above, there's a rainbow below. Every rose has its thorns, and where there's a rainbow above, there's a rainbow below. All right, we're starting with a riddle, I guess. Okay, okay. So, a rainbow above and a rainbow below. That tells me that there's a rainbow in the sky, and we're also sitting in front of a body of water because the rainbow is reflected in the water, and that's why there's a rainbow above and also below. That's how I'm interpreting it, and I'm also seeing it too now. So I'm seeing that I'm sitting in this beautiful landscape. There's like green hills. There is like a peaceful a lake. It feels like it's a small lake in front of me. Beautiful bright sky, a few like fluffy clouds. It's sunny day. It's warm. Um, It's just like a beautiful environment. And there's a rose, like I see there's a giant rose kind of hovering above the lake. And yes, it has its thorns and it's just gorgeous. It's like, oh, I'm asking if it's a certain color, if that matters. And I'm seeing it's kind of, it's shifting. It's like red and then it's pink and then it's purple and then yellow, like it's shifting between colors. Um, okay, where do we go from here, Rahel? She's like, well, I don't know, you tell me. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, where is everyone? This is a beautiful place, but there's nobody here. You know what I mean? Like, the intention was like, you had something to say to the community. Well, where is everyone? There's nobody here. And then what I see are a bunch of, so if this is kind of the landscape, then there's like in the sky, there's like a bunch of doors. And you know what they remind me? Oh, they're houses. They're houses in astrology. They're the 12 houses in astrology. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool, Rahel. And so there's 12 doors, um, and they're all closed. And she's like, well, that's why nobody's here, because the doors are closed. You haven't opened the doors. You haven't opened the doors, Shanga. And I'm like, oh. And then she shows me what's happening outside. She's like, because I'm like, are people knocking? Or do people want to come in? She's like, nobody's knocking. There are people around, um, but they see the closed doors and they understand that the person inside is a griever. They understand that the person inside of that door is grieving. They just understand that. They might not know who you are, but they know a griever when they feel it, you know? They know a griever when they see a door and they feel what's on the other side. They know that. They know grievers. And what Rahel is showing me is that they're leaving food. They're leaving food outside the door. Rahel's like, did you know that? Did you know that they're leaving food outside the door? She's like, this is what this community does. This is what this community knows how to do. When they know that there's a griever in the community, even if they're not sure who exactly is in there, they're like, oh, I'm going to leave food. I don't know. It's just what they do. They know the plight of a griever. They know what they just know the it's not even the plight. And it's not even the work. Like it is the work, but like they know the technology of a griever. They know what's on a griever's plate. Um, I 2 years ago, actually, right after a few months after Rahel transitioned, I launched this self-study grief course slash memoir, grief memoir, and one of the poems you can look at it on my website. It's called "Let Loss Make You Warm," and one of the poems that I started that journey with is called "Grief is Like Giving Birth." Right. And so it's kind of just like, um, looking at the different ways that we view what grief is and what grief isn't, um, it's not something that just like, you know, affects you for a little while and then it's gone. Right. It's like giving birth. It's like literally giving birth to something else in your life through death. And there's like your grief is like an angry, cranky, you know, wailing, beautiful mess of a new child, of a new baby, and you're taking care of it, right? And the first little bit is really difficult. And the whole journey is really difficult. And it really depends, just like all, no mothering is created equal, right? And every kind of parenting is a different journey, and some is more easeful than others, honestly. Um, some paths of parenting are a really, really challenging task. And and some grief is more challenging than others. I don't know. I just and you can't really decide preemptively what that is. It's just very personal for every single individual. I think it depends on like what are you really trying to work out with your ancestors in any one specific grief journey. And for some people it goes real deep, and you have to go through some gnarly nasty things sometimes. So anyway, that's all to say, it's like in this community that I'm feeling around, um, it's like they know that. They understand that on a deep fundamental level. They don't need anyone to explain that to them. They just know like, oh, that's a new griever, or that's a griever. Let me just put some food near the door. And then I see behind these 12 houses, Rahel is like, each house represents a different area of life in astrology, right? First house is like your identity. Second, money, resources, self esteem. Third house, siblings, early education, learning, writing, on and on like that. You can look up the 12 houses, right? And so, but there's a house for partnership, there's a house for higher, spiritual learning, friendship. And so she's like, every single house, did you know, Shanga, that there is food, you know, left at the door of every single house, every part of your life, there's food there because people know that there's a griever in there, and it's not just food, it's like gifts, it's little gems, it's little beautiful, I don't know, like sacred objects. It's like people in this community, they're like maybe going out for a walk one day, and then they see something and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this would be perfect for that griever." And then they go and they put it by the door, and they just trust that the griever will come out and receive the gifts when they're ready. Um this is amazing. Because I started this saying that we're going to talk about grief and community. And I just want listeners to sit with this for a second. What has been your experience with grief and community? And take a minute to sit with how this community already knows what to do with a griever in a community. This can be a self study, this can be global study as well, right? Like, how is this the same or different than the communal ways that like we have experienced our grief? Because this is not at all how I've experienced grief in the past, right? Like, I think, and let's you can talk about that. We can you journal about that, or meditate or reflect on that for your own experience. For me, um I have people knocking on my door like, when are you coming out? Like, when are you gonna come and do the things that you used to do? When are you gonna go back to normal? It's a community that didn't understand that I just gave birth, right? To a whole new thing in my life, and I'm different and I'm not the same. And I did die too, right? So there's a level of this community, they don't have any angst, or a time limit around how long that griever is in there. They just give, right? They just like put a gift near the door and trust that the griever will come out and receive those gifts, when it's time. And I think that there's something really special there too, in terms of your experience as a griever, right? Like, what does that mean to you that there are all these gifts that are like piling up outside of your door, and that you will receive them at the right time. You will receive the gifts of your grief at the right time. So I just wanted to put that out there. Um, and then I just like, the thing here that is interesting though is that inside of this room, okay, my question is, how is their perception of the griever different than the griever's perception of herself? In this scenario that Rahel is showing me, like I'm in my like I'm in this room and I'm pacing around and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't. She started by saying every rose has its thorns, right? And she's like, Shanga, you're never gonna be a rose without thorns. Like roses have thorns and that's okay. And there's something about perfectionism coming up here, right? Perfectionism with my grief. And that is also something that I'm learning to heal out of, like, as shifting from one kind of experience of community to another. Whereas, like, in the past, I felt like, oh, I have to be like really perfect with my grief. I have to really be perfect with everything. Like, I have to, when I open the door, I better be perfect for that community. I better be held together. I better, know exactly what to say and what to do. And I can't be messy at any point. And it's like this new community, like they don't see it that way at all. They don't need that from me. They just trust that I'm still in there because I'm just not ready. But they don't know that I'm in here like, like I'm trying to like not be thorny. I'm trying to there's something that I just don't feel like I can just like come out and just get these gifts, right? Get this community support. And so there's a deep journey in there in terms of why that is and all of that. And in one of, I am publishing a new VIP exclusive podcast episode today. I just recorded it this morning, so it's going to come out later today. And it kind of goes in deeper into like, what are these deeper wounds around grief and heartbreak and the things that stop us from sharing more freely, the stories that we so often keep hidden and the parts of ourselves that we're like, oh, I just got to figure this out myself. Why do we do that? So I went on a journey with that actually. And that episode is called Ending Competition Between Diverging Motherhoods. So, we're working with the wounds and heartbreaks in the maternal line there. So for folks and who want to go on that journey, you can look at that. You just keep tuning in, and by the time you watch this episode, maybe for some of you, it'll already be published. So just keep a lookout for that if you want to check that out more. But here in this video, like I think that it's just a matter of like, oh, like, did it occur to you, Shanga, that you could just like let all of that go and just like open your heart, open the doors to a community who understands grief in the way that you need it to be understood in order to thrive in a communal environment. And I think one of the things that I really wanted to highlight here is that what this place with the rainbows and the rose and the hills and the beautiful sun, what it really is to me, like this is the world that I'm stewarding. Like this is my world that I'm stewarding. It's my life, it's my work, it's my medicine, whatever you want to call it. It's something of mine that I've been caring for, that I want to share with a community, right? And what this world is the full and complete, sorry, it's a container where the full and complete expression of my medicine can land, can grow, can shatter in safety, can become more of itself, can live itself out. And I mentioned before, right, that I had a whole YouTube channel. I mean, it's the same YouTube channel, but like I did the whole, I had a whole different thing that I was doing. You know, I was doing monthly horoscope videos, I was doing astrology birth chart readings. But the thing about and why I shut down that business and what happened in between and what it is that birthed from there, it's not like that business wasn't me. But the thing is it's a container that could only hold pieces or shards, I would say, fragments of the medicine, of my life, of what I truly have to offer. It's the container itself could only hold the shards, because that's sort of, that's one of the biggest things in front of humanity right now. It's like, are we going to allow ourselves full-bodied freedom in our lives and in the life of the planet? Are we going to allow ourselves full-bodied pleasure, full-bodied rest, full-bodied joy, full-bodied accountability and reckoning with the biggest problems that we have out in the world and how they exist right in here? It's like, are we going to reckon full-bodily with our shadows and our wounds? It's like that's the shift happening right now. And that's what this end of Pluto and Capricorn into Pluto and Aquarius is really holding us accountable to. It's like, enough with the shards, enough with the pieces, enough with the fragments, like enough with just settling for that. No, and that's the difference, right? So my old business, it could only, could only express itself through pieces while it was still, really attached to a lot of other things. And that means that, like, I could never actually earn an income that fully supported my life if I'm only running a business that is kind of just a piece of what the full thing is. And now I have a container where the whole thing can just exist and live and grow into itself and shatter itself. This is really about, I've been saying this, like, do we have communities where we can grieve, where we can fall apart, where we can shatter, where we can actually break up and rebirth? Can our communities hold the full and complete expression and evolution of our medicine? Okay, and so this is why we're talking about this now, because it is connected to that species that I was talking about a little bit further into the future, right? This species that is nothing like us, but it comes from us. They come from us, and maybe we have more in common with them than it seems. Because what I see in those societies, that is how they are functioning. It's just complete, full and complete expression of life, of death, of grief. They experience it all. They feel it all. That's what we are growing into. And that is what it means to live in balance and harmony with this planet and with each other, with our lives. It's to experience all of it, because when we do that, when we're holding that stewardship in our life, then the earth herself can experience her full life and death, her full orbit. We're not siphoning it off. That's what extraction culture is, right? And that's why we're seeing these genocides and horrible military violence is because of extraction culture, because we want to extract and take pieces of things and not actually respect their full-bodied life and death. Okay? So that's really interesting because earlier in January, I channeled another live. It's called Pangea's Prophecy, I believe. And I was talking about this code that I had unlocked in one of my earlier podcast episodes called Time is a Heartbeat. And we're talking about this code called 422. If you understand 422, it's 2024 backwards, right? And it's exactly 180 years from now. And there's and you should watch that YouTube live because it's like a really kind of amazing unfolding we took into realizing the significance of this code 422 and 224 and the connection. And we kind of realized in that journey that there's a prophecy that you can date way back to Pangea, when the continents, before they split, that tells us of a prophecy where humanity was at its like most lowest point. It was like almost like there's no hope, right? Sound familiar? Like it's like, how do we get ourselves out of this mess, right? And honestly, if you look at multiverse history, I'm a multiverse historian, we'll talk about that later. But if you look at that history, it's like the amount of time and timelines and generations upon generations and eons of time, really, that it took us to get to this point where it's just so bad that there's a prophecy that says from this point, 2024, we can do a 180-degree turn in a swift amount of time. And in 180 years, we could get to this. We could get to this species who is completely living in balance with the planet. And we don't have these genocides. We don't have this extraction culture. We're different. And there has been loss. But we get there. And it is in our lifetime. Like a 180-degree turn in 180 years, given where we are right now, is quick. And that, it is in our lifetime. If you think about like our lifetime as these few generations that are stewarding this big wheel of fortune moment. Yeah, so, listen to my podcast because every once in a while you'll hear that wheel turn. So I'm doing a lot of storytelling around this. So 422 is so important because it's Earth Day, April 22nd. It's also Esta and Rahel's birthday. They're twins. So this is Rahel's birthday, our interviewee, and her twin brother. So look at that. We interviewed, I was like, we're not going to talk to that species today. We're going to talk to Rahel instead. But she brought us there anyway, because she's that magical. She's that magical. Let me look at my links. Is there anything else that I wanted to share today before we wrap up? Yeah, well, that's, I think one of the biggest challenges of this moment, and certainly that I've been having, right, is that because we're so connected right now to that moment of freedom, especially this year, 2024, the year of 8, the year of strength. We're so connected to that year, 422, 422, 4022, right? We're so connected. And we're seeing like the seed right now of what could be, what is already. And so there's a lot of people, birthing these new kinds of spiritual, businesses or life paths or just ideas. Some people are being called deeper to find what that is. everything is telling us, like, go and find the container right now where your full medicine can evolve. And I have that. That is why I'm so in love with Otherworldly Giants, like my business. It's my business. In yes, not just an entrepreneurship. It's literally like my business. This is my business. You know what I mean? Like this is it. This is my medicine. And it's such a baby, right? And it's hard, it's challenging, like in this moment, and we can give ourselves a lot of grace when we look at that large perspective, right? Is that we are really at the seed right now of we are experiencing the seed of a species that is good, that is okay, that is in right relationship, that does remember us. And like I said in my podcast episode, they have a lot of grace for us, even in ways that we don't have for ourselves. They understand us and they thank us for how we became them and what we had to do today to become them. So I'm going to leave that there. Study questions. What is it for you today? What is it for you today? How can you find that container? How can you find that space? Even it's just like, how do you take up that space today to be the thing, to hold the thing, where the full and complete expression of your life can just live freely? What decision can you make today to protect that, or to just have it? Just have it. Yeah, Rahel is so smart, right? Because I'm like, talk to the people. Tell, what do you want to say to community? And Rahel's like, well, there's nobody there. You have to open the door. I wanted to show you what they're doing, but there's nobody there for me to talk to. So we're going to end with a song. Before I do that, tune in tomorrow, 11:11. I'll be here again. Tomorrow, I think what I want to do is interview my future self about principles of running a not so business as usual. A not so business as usual is what, we put forward to dismantle capitalism and bring forward these larger changes and attune to this freedom, right? And so I'm gonna ask more questions about, like, what are the principles, like how do we run a business, like what are the anchors, all of that stuff. And then Saturday, I'm gonna do a live quantum birth chart reading for a community member. And quantum birth chart reading is my practice of decolonizing astrology. So I'll tell you more about that practice and you can see it in action. That's on Saturday, all at 11:11 a.m. Get on the mailing list. I'm going to, type in all the show notes after I finish this broadcast so you can get all the links. And yeah, for the podcast. And if you want to get more involved, you can look at our VIP room. You can look at the 6-class series coming up in October. And again, yeah, I'm dropping a new VIP episode today called Ending the Competition Between Diverging Motherhoods. Yeah, deep healing into the wounds and heartbreaks on our maternal line. So I'm going to end here. And with this song, I want to, I thought that it would be great to end with a song on each broadcast, or a clip from a podcast, or some kind of offering that I can give back to the ancestors who speak through me, and to all of you, but particularly to the guest that I have on this interview and who I interviewed. So this song is particularly for Rahel. It's for all of my relations, and if I were to give an intention based on what happened in this transmission today. Let's open the door. With this song, may the doors open and may I and we see the gifts that are left there for us, and they don't go stale. These gifts, they don't expire. There's no rush. There's no rush. They're not going to grow old and moldy. You don't have to worry about that. When you're ready, they'll be there and it'll be exactly the right time. So I think it's the right time for me. So I'm going to sing this song for Rahel and to open the doors. The song has many different names, but one of their names is Song of the Shell. Every day I know what love is. Every day you're here with me. Every day I know what loss is. Every day you're here with me. And I can't chase it. No, I can't chase it down. And if it all ends tomorrow, why would you stay? And if it all ends tomorrow, where else would I go? Every day I know what love is. Every day I know what grief is. Every day all I have is time, so I won't chase it. No, I won't chase it down. It's ours, so take it. I wanna be here now. Every day is love, love, love. High or low, it's love, love, love. All we have is love, love, love. And time. Thank you. Good listeners. Thank you, Rahel. Thank you, ancestors. See you tomorrow. Until then.